Welcome to another episode of the LeverageStrong Show. I'm here with a really close friend of mine, Brett Bishop. How are you doing today, Brett?
I am doing awesome, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, so we've got a little bit of change of scenery here.
A lot of changes of scenery thanks to Hurricane Ian. What I refer to as Realty Tech Guru Studios, RTG Studios, was annihilated. It was in my business partner at the office, one of my business partners. That's where he housed his team, and that building took a major hit.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you posted a video on it, right?
I did.
Yep.
I did.
So I think you were talking about this before. You mentioned it on your video.
Mm-hmm.
Is you were going to do a bunch of unboxings, right?
I was. Yes. And I was. I have as we were setting up this set, we kicked off this big trunk off to the side that is full of product that Brett never got around to actually doing any unboxing or reviews of, and now it's going to get a lot more interesting.
Yeah. So a quick plug for the show you got coming up.
Yeah.
So we've got we've got some examples.
Yeah, this is not typical Amazon packaging. They don't normally look like this.
I love how it's just
it's
all peeling apart here.
It is.
There's just some dust on
but
here.
it's still sealed. It's still sealed. I'm gonna have a new series. I got to get to this one a lot faster. It's not gonna have any validity, right? But a new series coming out called "Did It Survive?" And so I think it's gonna be unique. I don't think this has ever been done before that I'm aware of on YouTube.
I
right?
haven't seen it. No.
So a lot of what I do on Realty Tech Guru on that channel is I do technology for real estate professionals and also just like videography and photography and stuff like that, but just tech stuff. You know, I'm a gadget guy. I love gadgets. So I'm gonna actually do some unboxings, and we're gonna see this from a new perspective of did it actually survive a hurricane? Because this stuff got drenched.
Yeah.
And I have not seen that on anybody's YouTube channel before, so we'll see what that looks like.
I'm super excited for that. Like, you need to do this sooner rather than later because I want to watch it.
And this one's in the most rough shape, so I think this is going to be number one.
Yeah. And then this is definitely a close second.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I already know that Zoom is a great manufacturer.
They have fantastic products. Yeah.
Absolutely. And man, I love that camera so much. I bought it, but at this point, like, it's been almost a year ago that I bought it. And yeah, let's see. The box is like soaked, and there's like ceiling tile stains on it. That's what all that white stuff is. And like you mentioned, as we were going through all the goodies from the trunk that I've got packed with all the stuff that we pulled out of that studio. All of you manufacturers out there, and Ulanzi is one of them. Ulanzi is one of my favorite manufacturers. Great product, really good value, affordable prices, and they seal everything in cellophane.
Yeah,
shrink wrap it. Yeah, shrink wrap it, right? Which means
it all
that
survived.
It keeps it waterproof.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't have to question, did it survive?
No.
We just know it did.
Yep.
Which is fantastic. So all that to say is we're not in the normal studio in my home where we do it on Zoom.
No.
I got to come over here, over and up, 2.5 hours over here, and we get to do it together.
Yeah.
So before we get into what we've been doing, aside from that was we got into that. This is fun because we get to like sit together and drink, right?
Yeah.
And so I previously had a podcast, and we would drink, and we'd always talk about what we were drinking. Now we can see it. Before it was just audio podcast. So what are you sipping on today, Brett?
So this is, first of all, this is my favorite yellow cup. This actually, and the funny thing is like all of this stuff is worn off, except my measure level is still there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's where I measure the Calypso rum that goes into it.
Okay.
And then this is probably going to be the last one with Dr. Pepper in it because it actually tears me up, right? But it is my favorite combination, so I'll be switching to Sprite with this.
Okay.
But this cup is actually from McCurdy's Comedy Club in Sarasota. These are the perfect cocktail club.
That's
cups.
awesome. And then I got super hyped. So you took me to, what was the... It's called Captain's Liquor.
Captain's Liquor. Yeah, and it's just around the corner from my house. And my buddy Pernell, I say my buddy. It's really because I used to go there way too often, and that's how we got so close. But anyway, Pernell is the owner, and he's just an awesome guy. His family, the family works there. And he's seen my son grow up, and I've seen his son grow up, so it's just kind of cool. But yeah, he's kind of a beer aficionado and everything, and he's got a lot of stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Did you like the selection?
I'm a beer geek. Surprise, surprise, right? And there's a lot of stuff that I have not seen on my side of the state. And this is one that I tried at a bar, and I've never seen it since, and it's called Give a Crap. And it's a sour, but it's a sour with vanilla in it, which is really cool. So it smooths it out. It's got that hit, and it smooths it out. And next I'm going to be jumping to a porter. So
yeah, you let me take a sip, and when you told me it was a sour, as I was putting it to my mouth, I was a little scared because I love a good IPA, and like High Five and High Lie are probably my two favorites, and they're a little citrusy,
yeah,
but not super fruity.
They're not
right?
tart.
I don't like real fruity beers. Mm-hmm. So as that was happening, and it's a sour, it scared me. I'm thinking is sour apple Jolly Rancher or something, right? I think the vanilla kind of tames that. That was actually really good.
Yeah, it's got a little kick to it. I really like sours. There's something refreshing about it, especially in Florida. Like, it's so hot here. They're nice and refreshing. So actually, I'm gonna kill this and then move on to.
Yeah, what do you got next?
So I also got some clown shoes, which
Wait, we're both wearing red shoes. We both have clown shoes.
Yeah, right? So, yeah, clown shoes, I think we get it over there, but it's less common. But yeah, pecan pie porter. Going like the whole other spectrum of flavor.
You said it like a true Georgian. Pecan.
Pecan?
Not pecan.
Pecan. Yeah, I spent like 8 months living in Georgia, so maybe that did it. So, Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I was worried it was going to be too sweet. It's not. So
it's the color of pecan pie. I can see that.
Yeah, it's incredible. And my little trick has never been recorded. So this is what I do with all my beers.
Nice.
Is I crack it open with my elbow, and it makes it a little more drinkable. So.
That is a fascinating trick. And one of our buddies tried that. Should we name him?
I think we should.
Yeah, I think we should.
Andrew
First and last?
Yeah, Andrew Hicks.
Andrew Hicks.
Yeah, good.
Tried that to impress a lady the last time we were all together and sliced his elbow.
Yeah. I don't know.
And then it was first aid for the rest of the night.
All right, so we've bantered a lot. I think one thing I'd really like to get into, so again, what you do is with Realty Tech Guru is you set up a lot of market center of the future training rooms for market centers. If you're not in the Keller Williams ecosystem, a market center is our offices. So you go in and set up these training rooms. Now, I think this is a prime example of like disasters hit, and we're blessed here in Florida to usually have at least a couple days heads up to prepare for a natural disaster to come through. I know places in the Midwest get tornadoes.
Sure, tornadoes, there's
not
no warning for, right?
No warning for tornadoes, earthquakes, things like that. Yeah. But when we do have something where we do have a heads up, what are some things that we can do to prepare ourselves so we have the least amount of collateral damage?
Are you talking about from the electronic standpoint of thing, or you're just talking about as a Floridian, how do we...
As a market center leader, if I'm preparing, I know I need to evacuate, I'm not going to be able to be there to go and take care of something in the midst of it. Like, what do I do if I know I have to walk away from my market center and know that a storm's going to come in?
So as a market center leader, like you said, one of the cool things that we experienced, this is my second major hurricane with Keller Williams. It's my third hurricane, but the first one, I wasn't with Keller Williams at the time. So had Irma in 2017 and then Ian this year. And we have phenomenal leadership from the South Florida region and Keller Williams Realty International ahead of that. And so they already start laying down the emergency plan. And what's awesome about that, we have great leadership at the market center level.
Yeah.
But we don't even have to think too much about what we need to do because Keller Williams is a company of systems and models, right?
Yeah.
Even when it comes to emergencies and emergency
yep.
preparation, right? And so those systems and models have already been put before us, and it's just it's KWRI talking to the regions and then coming down to each of the market centers. So my team leader currently throughout this one has been absolutely phenomenal. And when she got the information from the region, the call list got put together, who's calling who and things like that. So it's really just putting that plan together, knowing who you're responsible for taking care of and checking in with, because this one was bad.
Yeah.
Right? It was bad. Sorry.
No, I feel you.
It was a bad one. And knowing that there's already that plan in place, because you're calling those agents in the beginning to make sure that they're prepared. What can we do for you? And then you're calling them to make sure they're alive.
Yeah.
It was a bad one. So had we not had that quality leadership, it would have been a different story. But we had phenomenal leadership. We all came together as a team. And Keller Williams South Florida's South Florida region leadership, and then KWRI, above that, it's crazy. So, did you see Mark King? Were you there?
I wasn't there. He was between my two.
Gotcha.
One of my visits.
It was kind of in between there. So, but he came to the Fort Myers Command Center.
Yep.
And then up here to us at our Punta Gorda office. And how cool is that? Like, we're talking about, I'm going to say it, GK, right? Because we're tight like that. No, I'm kidding. But Gary Keller's next man in charge, right? And the president of the company just comes down to make sure everybody's all right. And super down-to-earth guy. And it just the leadership, the family, everything that you hear about the culture within our company, it just radiated with this event, and it was phenomenal. And that big red truck coming through, the KW Cares, like you hear the stories, we've seen it. So Harvey, when it hit Houston, right? Like as Floridians, we know that could have easily been us, and you see these trucks roll through, and my son has grown up in our office, and the team leader has the KW Cares big red truck, the kind of like Matchbox kind of thing, right? Truck, so it looks awesome. It's this kind of symbol of what things would be, and then you need it, and it's there.
And it's there.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, that was really. So I went to the Estero Command Center the first weekend I could, and then followed up. And the following week went to Fort Myers. And there was just something about like seeing that truck.
Yeah.
It was there's the tangibility of it was
it's
just
a sign of hope.
Yeah, it's just unreal. And then them opening the doors and seeing this truck filled with so many generators. Like I've never more generators than I've ever seen sitting in a freaking Lowe's or Home Depot or something. And the tangibility of it just really hits home. You can't put it into words, right?
No.
And knowing that we have that to be ready like that. And then even just the drivers, they're not KW, but the drivers were just like pitching in, helping us take everything out. Just more generators that I could ever imagine existed in one place, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, we got the numbers on that. What was it? 1,495?
Something. It was close to 1,500.
Right?
I know it was between 14 and 1,500. Last I heard it was $2.85 million contributed towards this, and just seeing people walk in and get a level of hope.
Yep.
And just shocked that like they can just come in and walk away with $1,000 worth of relief.
Well,
right?
You know, it's interesting that you say that because, and I'll just admit it, you know, like I saw that first load of generators come in, and like I said, I'm a gadget guy. I know cars. Like this is just my thing. Like I love that kind of stuff. So when I saw what these generators were, I knew they weren't the cheap out.
Yeah, they weren't rinky-dink generators. They were legit.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, we're talking about generators that are anywhere between $700 and $1,100, depending on the model, and just like even the smallest generator was enough that you could plug into the the dryer type connection that you have your electrical panel wired for, and run the important things in your house. It was awesome. So it's not like, here's your 200-watt generator that you can run a light bulb on as long as it's LED.
Yeah.
No, it was legit.
6,500 watt. Yeah. And we were giving away like freaking Costco samples. Like it just blows my mind. And it's that abundance mindset that we know that it's just paying forward.
Absolutely.
Right. And and I was grateful to be there. Right. Everyone's like, oh, thank you so much. I'm like, no, like I'm being blessed just to get to be a part of this.
Right.
And to help other people. And I'm grateful that, I've got my business and I've been in the Keller Williams ecosystem that has taught me to live a life by design, so that now I have the flexibility to go and shoot across, 2 hours across the state. And it was funny because I was like, I posted a Facebook story of me in the back of a car just full of like, stuff. And it said West Coast bound. And all my friends were like,
you're going to Cali?
Yeah, what are you doing in California? You got to hit me up when you're here. And I was like, no, I forget that the rest of the country associates West Coast with California and not the West Coast of Florida, which is funny. But
which I've spent a lot of time doing Market Center of the Future upgrades on the East Coast, South Florida, right? It's a whole nother country.
It is, dude.
It's different from the Southwest Florida boy, born and raised. Like it's faster paced, and like for me, I was good in geography, but as far as I'm concerned, everything south of once you get off the alley, everything's Miami.
Yeah, south of the alley's Miami, north of the alley's Fort Lauderdale or West Palm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, what did you do to prepare your market center prior to evacuating?
Okay, so kind of the usual stuff electronics wise. So you're unplugging computers, wrapping wall mounted TVs in garbage bags, things like that, just to try to give them some kind of waterproof ability, right? But even before we did that, it was following the steps because, like, from our MCA position, right? I mean, that's one of the most vital positions in our offices because it's all the accounting and everything. So it's backing up the redundancy. Yep. We already use the backup service. I forget what it is. I know a lot of market centers use it. I can't remember the name of the company that does it. But it's not just that. It's also having a hard drive, an external hard drive. And so all those types of things. It really just covering your electronics, unplugging your electronics, getting them up off the floor, because what we heard is, I mean, so there's one thing I learned through this that I also started to feel in Irma when we went through that in 2017 is, without getting political at all, there's those political news outlets that we think of as fearmongers. The one thing I learned through all this is there is no bigger fearmonger than the Weather Channel.
Yeah. So what hurricane was it that like there was the weather guy that was just saying you need to evacuate or you're gonna die, like just straight up? Do you remember that?
No.
Was that Hurricane Matthew or something? There was.
It was probably Matthew, because I know that was one of the more recent ones that hit in this general area, and
Yeah, he was straight up, you're going to die. And I was like, that's... And
Well,
the problem with that is, like, here's the thing with... And I'm getting a little off topic here, but the problem with Florida is that we're so jaded by hurricanes because so many have come... Like, they've almost plowed into us and then, like, scooped up and took out the Outer Banks, or, swung out... Like, Katrina went and hit, New Orleans, or the one that hit Texas, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of ones where, we're preparing, and then, now I'm stuck with like 20 cases of water and all these canned goods, and I'm never going to eat, right?
Right.
And then so when something big like this does actually hit us, we're like a little caught off guard because we didn't take it seriously, because we assumed it's gonna just skip us altogether, or it's only a Cat 3. I know like the rest of the country is probably like only a Cat 3. Like for us, a Cat. Like, we don't get worried until we hear the words Cat 4.
Right.
Right.
And this one was 2 miles an hour away from being
1 mile an hour from Cat 5. Yeah. Right. Which, so pretty much it's a Cat 5.
Yeah.
Like,
I was fortunate enough to have some experience because I was here for Charlie.
Yeah.
And the minute they started saying it was going to hit Tampa, I started preparing.
Yeah.
Because they said the same thing for Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute Jim Cantori showed up in Clearwater, I, put my head between my legs and kissed my butt goodbye.
Yeah.
So fortunately, and like even in real estate, in the tech world and everything else, experience is the best teacher.
Yeah.
And that's really what it was for us. I mean, although you hit on something that is very true, because there is a lot of death south of us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that came from exactly what you said. There had been these near misses, and we prepared, and then it never came. And then this one annihilated a huge span. So we're talking about destruction of some degree from Naples to Venice.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know what that is. It's about 200 miles,
probably.
I think, close to
this
that.
This is your coast, not mine.
Yeah, I know. I think of it in hours. So, and I drive about 8. No, I'm kidding. FHP, I don't drive that fast.
Yeah.
But if I think about the time in travel, Venice to Naples is about a 2.5 hour trip.
Yeah.
Or 2. Anyway.
And I mean, this storm was the size of Florida.
Yeah. Well, in one of the memes that was going around was a graphic of Charlie fitting well within the eye of Ian. Now, we're talking about the entire storm of Charlie, because Charlie was only a 5 mile wide storm. And it went through this area within 45 minutes to an hour, because it was also moving very quickly.
Yeah.
It did a lot of damage, but in a much tighter path.
Yeah.
Whereas Charlie fit in the eye of this storm, which is crazy to think about. And then, like, where we were, and most of this area from, say, Punta Gorda to Venice was in the eye wall the entire time. We never got to experience or get the relief of the eye passing over. Yeah. Right? It was just, it was crazy. It was 10 hours of constant wind and destruction.
And landfall was, 3 hours? After it had made landfall, it sat over for like 3 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably. I mean, they pinpointed landfall at Cayo Costa, which is right off. It's one of the barrier islands of Port Charlotte.
Yeah. And for the record, what they mean by landfall is
the center,
the eye, the center of the eye passes into the land. So really, you've already experienced half of the storm by the time we consider it landfall.
Right.
And something that massive, I mean, you've already seen the worst of it, and now you got to see it again. It's insane.
I'm pretty sure we're meteorologists now.
Yeah, we are. Yep, 100%. So, what are some of the things that like people forget to do to prep for a hurricane, like their market, like prep their technology?
But honestly, like, I think unplugging one of the biggest things, like even your network equipment. So I put in all of our network equipment, and I'm not a trained IT guy. I use an awesome product. We plug in products.
Yeah, you can plug products. That's fine.
Ubiquiti Unify systems are amazing, especially for somebody who's not IT trained, right? And I think one of the biggest things we forget about is just unplugging that stuff, because when the power surges or whatever, it could wipe out that whole system. And you want your office to be ready to go so your agents can get back into production, try to get some sense of normalcy right when all that stuff comes back up. So we just passed the 2-week mark, right? So this is Friday.
Wow, it's already 2 weeks?
2 days ago,
Man.
Wednesday would have been 2 weeks from the storm. And we're still, you were in the office today, we're still dealing with the fact that we have internet one day and we don't have it the next, because it just keeps going, it keeps coming in and going out. But
and then yesterday I was at your place and it was powers going in and out.
Got stuck in the recliner.
Those stupid powered recliners.
Where's the manual crank? Get me out of this thing. Yeah. So I think it's, a lot of times with like electronics, we know to like unplug them, but you definitely putting bags over them helps, garbage bags, whatever, and just getting the stuff up off the floor, because the fear mongering in this one, and I don't want to use that. I don't want to overuse that term. It was kind of fearful with what they were telling us, but I know why they're doing it. But it was a reality.
I know why most of it was reality.
Some people experienced it.
Yeah.
Right? And we were blessed enough that we didn't have to experience it, but we were told that we were going to get 15 to 19 feet of storm surge here where you and I are sitting. And fortunately we didn't. And the crazy thing is, 2 streets over is a saltwater canal that goes right to Charlotte Harbor. So I fully anticipated that my house would be flooded. Yeah. And we didn't, fortunately, by the grace of God, we didn't experience that. But so getting the stuff up off the floor, covering it in bags, garbage bags, whatever you can. And realistically, like for me, because I built my computer at the office and I've got this amazing monitor and everything, I brought that stuff home because first of all, my house has hurricane protection and our commercial building does not. Yeah. We don't have any hurricane shutters, windows, whatever. So I brought that stuff home. Yeah.
And then you've got drop ceilings at the office, so the wind gets up under the.
Now I know why they're called drop ceilings, because they drop down in a hurricane.
Yeah, exactly. So, because you don't only have to account for the bottom up, you got to account for the top down,
and that's where all of our damage came from. We didn't have any flooding. Yeah, but we had this 4-foot overhang across the front of our Port Charlotte office, and that soffit got blown in very easily, and then the rain just came, because you're not even talking about sideways rain, right? You're talking about upwards rain, because the wind's bringing it up like this, and that's really where we got our damage from.
Yeah. And there you have it. That's been part 1 of my interview with Brett Bishop. Give us a follow or a subscribe on our YouTube channel and or Facebook page to keep an eye out for the following parts. Stay tuned, guys.